our webinar sessions, and thank you today, Renata, helping me to prepare this session. And we continue with Vinca or Catharanthus roseus. It's very nice crop, very lovely crop for many people. And I'm happy to see everybody who will attend webinar, our webinar today. And we are starting with the second part of Vinca propagation and Vinca growing on. And today we will talk on the growing on of this wonderful crop. And I would like to recap what topics we discussed in a previous session, because previous session we discussed germination stage and first stage or in the plaques. I mean the early stage in the plaques. And we started, of course, with explanation what is a Syngenta Catharanthus assortment. We mentioned XDR genetic and other supplemental varieties that we have. And in total, we have a quite huge assortment, which is suitable for the different type of containers, boxes, and the trays. And we have a specific trailing Catharanthus cascade XDR. Very nice crop with the tiny flowers, but it's able to cover entire plant with these type of the flowers. And I explained what's about the XDR genetic opportunity. And we turn to hygiene, how to this very famous topic, very critical topic, how to approach the good success with germination and on the first stage of the seedlings production. And so we mentioned here the quarantine meaning. I explained what's about what's quarantine exactly means, and we talked about infection sources and how to protect the plant, how to create the border between the plants and the infection. And we talked about creating a clean condition and how to maintain the clean condition in greenhouse area. And later on, we talked about pH meaning and pH a critical item because the pH is quite critical for the Catharanthus, because low pH help to avoid problem with the telebiopsis. And also we talked about the disease protection and any kind of condition which have to be supplied in the germination stage. And let's go with the top 5 topics for the Catharanthus again, and especially which is critical for the growing on and for the finishing stage. Of course, it is the right genetic, and I would like to introduce XDR genetic again today, and explain the meaning of what is the XDR genetic and why we're talking a lot about this type of genetic. Of course, we will talk today again about the pH, because pH is critical not only in the seedling stage and also it is critical on the growing on and on the vegetation and blooming stage. And of course, as because the Catharanthus is how to say it, the crop which is like to get feed a lot, we will talk about the proper feeding of the plants. And the light critical also for the Catharanthus, and I may call the Catharanthus light lover. And of course, we will talk about the plant protection again, because the Catharanthus is sensitive to the Phytophthora and other fungus. So that's why we will talk about diseases today a lot again. So I repeat. Maybe it seems to how to say it repeating items, but please be aware this is a really critical things, and I would like to make the point at that things a lot to make clear visibility, which is really critical for the Catharanthus. So let's go about what's the right genetic. Here I display the simple pictures. Here you can see the difference in the habit between the Cora cascade and Cora XDR, but it doesn't matter what kind of habit you have. If you apply the Cora XDR genetic, you will be successful not only in the propagation and not only in the production. You will be successful also in the garden performance. And so, what this means? It means that your customer will be successful as well, and your customer will be happy to buy your plants, as because they performs very nice in the outdoor condition in the gardens. And with our XDR genetic, you receive not only disease resistant, because as you made here formerly, I mentioned that 35 aerial phytophthora lines not dangerous for this crop. This crop able to protect itself by their genetic against against this huge amount of phytophthora lines. And of course, you will receive a very nice habit, because this type of Catharanthus able to produce more branches, it more bushy, and the plant it's quite dense, so you will receive very nice plant with very nice performance in your garden. And when the people thinking about the XDR genetic, maybe they start to follow the bias. Maybe XDR genetics is quite expensive, but there are one things on behind of that that you always have to keep in mind. What you want, what kind of results you want to receive, because the phytophthora it's really dangerous. Dangerous fungus for Catharanthus, and some kind of phytophthora are also resistant against fungicides. So in many production corners, in many production places, I observed the picture that you can see in the left side of this presentation, left side of this slide. This is a damage that exactly came from phytophthora. And here even you can see the mycelium, which appears on the stem. I can use a pointer. I own the pointer, and here you can see the damage by the phytophthora, and here you can see the spores of Canidia spores appears on the on one of the stems. And here you can see the right side on this of this slide. You can see the performance of the Cora, and I would like to mention one thing. We test and we are confident on this this type of genetic, because we tested in independence with independence grower who get the independence feedback in many locations around the world. And let's go to see the video. Formerly I tried to play this video, but honestly it were not how to say it, And I would like to ask Renata. Renata, is it okay with the video today?
Yes, it was very good to hear
Yeah,
too.
the sound, yeah, because formerly I tried to on this video, but we had a problem with the sound, but now you able to see the this nice video with the sounds as well. And I hope you were impressed on that. And sorry, let's go to the young plant production. What's a critical? We are continuing to tell about the young plant production stage and the growing on stage. We have to mention, we have to keep our attention a lot on the pH range. Why is critical? It's critical not by it can affect the plants not by availability of elements or by chemical reaction by itself, but it also affect on the disease resistance of the Catharanthus against to televiopsis, because not only phytophthora dangerous for Catharanthus, there are many diseases, especially on the young plant stage. The pedium is critical, televiopsis is critical, phytophthora is critical as well, and of course rhizoctonia, how we can do without rhizoctonia in our locations. But anyway, pH lower than 5.8, it is helpful to protect the plants against especially televiopsis, because televiopsis can bring a lot of problem, and it can came suddenly, and one day you can find the plant get black leaves and black black stripes on the stems of the plant, and the plant even can die because of the televiopsis infection. And so to maintain the proper condition, not overwater, please not overwater Catharanthus, because overwatering provide very nice condition to for fungus to propagate to propagate it to be stable in the substrate. So that's why let the substrate dry between irrigation, but don't forget that Catharanthus honestly like the very like water, so that's why I advise to keep the media or substrate on the level between alternate between the 4 and 3, but let the substrate dry between irrigation. So please not forget to little bit to let substrate became a little bit drier than stage 3. And here I especially displayed in the picture. Here you can see the red flame little bit moved to the right side. And let's go about what's happened. Let's talk
Ivan,
about, yes.
there's a black box at the right lower corner. Is it something you can close down so we can see the full screen again? On the right of your screen?
Yes, I cannot see, sorry.
Do you see something up above the over the presentation?
No,
There's a
no, I cannot.
black square on the right lower corner.
No, honestly, I
Okay.
cannot see. Honestly, I cannot
Okay.
see.
Well,
So
it's still visible, but there is something in the screen.
okay, is it big or not? Because I
Not
cannot
too
see
big. I think if
the.
you continue the presentation, we will understand.
Okay. Sorry for maybe something happened with a Zoom presentation, but honestly, I cannot see. And what about the feeding the plants? Of course, it is connected with the pH, because pH affect on the availability of the many elements. And I would like to back to the previous slide. In the previous slide, you can see the reaction of the plant on the improper pH and on the overwatering as well. Here you can see the visible chlorosis things, and also you can see the black or purple spots on the leaves, which can came from a deficiency of some elements, and especially high pH also critical to let for many elements to be available for the plants. So that's why pH is quite critical. And here you can see how nice a plant you can receive with the proper pH on the left part of this slide. And let's go. Don't forget to feed your plants well. What's the main rules how to provide the good food for the Catharanthus? We talked many times about in the previous webinars about how to apply the fertilizer, but the general advices is mostly the same. Here I also mentioned the critical condition like a substrate you see in the fertigation level displayed in the ppm of nitrogen. But the most critical things is next. Don't use too much phosphorus. This is also critical for Catharanthus. The suitable NPK range you can see in this slide. It's like 15-5-15 or 15-5-10 or the similar, with a low amount of phosphorus. And on the young plant stage, the rate of the nitrogen and potassium should be mostly the same, like a 15-15 or like a 15-10 or like a 18-15. And the nitrogen can be in a slightly higher concentration than potassium at this stage, because plant requires a lot of nitrogen to provide a good growth. But anyway, if you have this kind of concentration like 15-5-15 or 17-5-7, it is okay as well. And please give the fertilizer with each watering. So I advise to dissolve the fertilizer, not use a dry, never use a dry fertilizer. And I advise to use a dissolved fertilizer into the water and apply with every watering. And never use fertilizer with a high level of phosphorus, like a 15-15-15 or 17-17-17. Not apply the urea, because urea is, of course, for many crops like tomatoes or like cucumbers, it's very nice source of nitrogen. But you may to ask me why I not able to, or why I have to cancel or reject the urea for the Catharanthus. There are two critical things behind of that. One critical thing: urea can able to increase dramatically pH in the substrate. It's one items in behind of that. And second items, honestly, the urea, it's not really applicable with a small size, small volume of the substrate, because if you apply it in the field, it is okay, because you have a lot of the huge area, huge space of the substrate filled with substrate, and urea can be dissolved very quickly there. But in the small volume of the substrate, it will stay in that volume, and it will affect on the pH very critical and very dramatically. And so even within a half of hour, pH can be increased even up to 8, 8.5, and even 9. So this is really dangerous, because urea decayed by bacteria or by fungus in the soil, in the substrate, and it will release ammonium anions, cations, and ammonium will dramatically increase the pH. So that's why I not really advise to use the urea, and never apply it clean water. I explained it many times, and I focus in every time, and I think you already, I hope you already remember that, because I repeat it quite frequently, and even I think more frequently than it's necessary. But anyway, again, not apply the clean water. And let's go to the next stage, how to convert, because in a previous slide you found that fertilizer should be applied on the level displayed like ppm of nitrogen. How to convert? Honestly, it is very simple. The ppm can be easily converted or how to say, displayed as a milligram, because the ppm is part per million, and milligram is 1 million part from the kilogram. So that's why the ppm is mostly the same. It's honestly not really the same in the how to say the physical terms, but it's in practical application it's mostly the same. So you can imagine, like for instance, 75 or 125 ppm of nitrogen, it's 57 or 125 milligrams of nitrogen per 1 kilo or per 1 liter of water. So how to recalculate it in the entire mass of the fertilizer? It's quite easily, because you already with your fertilizer has a percentage of the nitrogen in that fertilizer. So you can use this percentage, like for instance 15. For instance, we have in our stocks a fertilizer like 15,570. So and from this concentration, we already know that we have 15% of nitrogen. So we just only need to add rest of the mass to this fertilizer to recalculate on entire mass to get the entire mass of the fertilizer. You can use the proportion, and you can use this kind of calculation. For instance, we have to take in the beginning 75 ppm of nitrogen. We have to multiply on 100 and divide by 15, and you will receive half of a gram or 500 milligrams of fertilizer. It's quite simple, manipulations. So it's the same like recalculate the percentage into the gram, into the mass. It's mostly the same activity. And with the 500 of milligrams or half of grams, you will receive the in the water you will receive AC in the level 0.7 or about 1 millisiemens per centimeters. And don't forget to provide calcium and magnesium, because honestly, I would like to reveal one secret. Normally, complex fertilizer which contains NPK lack of the calcium. Here you can see the level mentioned like in the picture from the right side. You can see the example of fertilizer, and here the NPK rate measured like 18, 8, 15. And the two the last number 2 is the level of the magnesium usually. So in general, this type of fertilizer contains not enough, or it not contains the calcium at all. So that's why I advise to use calcium and magnesium with every 5th or 6th watering for the Catharanthus, especially because the Catharanthus really not like too much calciums, but 1 time per week or 1 time per 1.5 weeks, it is possible to apply. It's necessary to apply, not possible, necessary to apply the calcium for the plants. And let's go to the next condition, light and temperature, of course. The temperature, by the way, Catharanthus is really heat lover crop, and it is also light lover. And because mention their light addiction, I would like to advise to not apply really strong shading. Just apply the only slight shading, just only with a 30% from entire sunlight, or maybe not, but anyway, not more than 50% from entire sunlight. And finally, I mentioned most of all critical items for young plants. And if the young plants already receive the 3 or 4 pairs of leaf and start to branch, it means it's ready to be transplanted. Or the main things how how to find the time when the plants need to be transplanted from the trays. When the plants start to touch each other with the leaves, it means it's ready to be transplanted. So that's a moment when you can, how you can, or that's the things how you can indicate when the plants needs to be transplanted. And what kind of the condition we should provide for the plant, and especially we have to be confident about the substrate quality. What's about the substrate? Formerly, in the first part, I explained and I advise, to say advice, yes, not to use the organic compound like rice husk or vermicompost for the young plants. That is true. But for ready plants and for the final stage of the Catharanthus, it's really applicable. But please mention just only one topic. All this type of substrate is applicable, and especially the mixture of that type substrate, and even the vermicompost on the base of cow dung, on the base of plant residuals, also can be applied in the ready stage. But please remember about one thing. All is good, but if you protect your plant from the fungal diseases, especially from the Phytophthora and from the Rhizoctonia, what I means when I talking about what I mean, sorry, when I talking about plant protection. I talking about biological protection. This is another secret thing which you can use to be successful with the Catharanthus production. Here I mentioned what kind of the mixture, substrate mixture, you're able to apply for the Catharanthus. Here's just example. For instance, 1/3 of natural soil, 1/3 of vermicompost, 1/6 part of cocopeat, and 1/6 part of rice husk compost. And you can change you can change components of this mixture. You can change the rate of this mixture, but please not avoid or not skip one thing. Please provide the protection of the plant. Honestly, it is possible to use the chemical protection like a Previcur or the similar chemicals which can play well against which can fight quite well the Phytophthora and other diseases, and especially Pythium. But I advise to use all the time biological protection, for instance, on the trichoderma base and the chemical on the trichoderma base, because trichoderma very strongly protect your plants from any kind of fungal diseases. And because the fungal disease is very critical for Catharanthus, I advise to use all the time. I also can advise to use this type of the chemicals for the other crops. And of course, not only trichoderma available in the market, also bacterial diseases on the base of the bacterial Bacillus subtilis also available in the market. But keep in mind only one thing: the trichoderma cannot be combined with a chemical protection, because fungicides are dangerous for the trichoderma mycelium. So that's why I advise to use in the beginning trichoderma, but later on, maybe within within a 1 week or 2 weeks, you're able to apply the chemical protection. But in the beginning, I advise to use as a premixture to the substrate. I advise to use a trichoderma. So let's go to another condition which liked by Catharanthus. Of course, we start to talking about the pH again, because as you understand already, the pH is critical not only because pH provides a good proper pH provides a good rate of the micro elements, and especially these kind of elements like iron or magnesium, but the pH also critical to propagation of the televeopsis. So to protect your plants, please keep pH at the range that I mentioned formerly, 5.5, 5.8. It is okay if they sometime increase up to 5.9, but let's try to keep it on the range between 5.5 up to 5.8. And of course, about the substrate, about the feeding, about the crop feeding. Here you can see the substrate EC already should be higher. It already should be 1.5, even 2.1. It's really high. So because the Catharanthus really like to get a food, to get a mineral, mineral elements. And here you already can see the fertigation level should be increased up to 125 and even 175 ppm of nitrogen. And of course, about substrate moisture, how we apply the fertilizer. As because we are applying the fertilizer with the watering, we need to mention. Media wet level need to be mentioned here in this slide, and I advise again to let substrate dry. It shouldn't be completely dry, but it should be on the level 2. It should be reach up the level 2. So let the substrate dry up to level 2, and later on you can irrigate your plant again. Let's go to the again the task. An example how to recalculate this type. I repeat it again because I would like to show another example to make your systematic vision on how to recalculate how it easily to recalculate the ppm of nitrogen into the NPK rate. Here I take again the NPK rate like 15, 5, 17. Honestly, it doesn't matter. You can choose another type of fertilizer like 18, 5, 15. In this case, case with a different rate of nitrogen, you just can use the different number of nitrogen in this calculation, and you will receive the really entire mass of the fertilizer you have to apply, and you have to dissolve into the water to receive proper concentration of the nitrogen and other elements. And let's start again. For instance, so let's start with 125 ppm. If you use this this level of nitrogen, you have to multiply. It's mostly the same. 125 ppm, mostly the same like 125 milligrams per liter. And so you can use this quantity to multiply to use in the calculation. You have to multiply 125, and sorry, I made a small mistake here. You have to multiply 125 milligrams on 100% and divide on by 15, and you will receive 833.3 milligrams or 0.83 grams. And if you will dissolve this quantity of fertilizer into the water, you will receive approximately 1.2, 1.3 millisiemens. It's already quite big concentration, but not too big, and even it is possible to apply even higher concentration for the Catharanthus, because Catharanthus really like to eat mineral food. And of course, not forget to apply calcium and magnesium fertilizer every 5th of 6th watering. And what's about other conditions. Of course, when we're talking about Catharanthus, we're talking about really light lava. And here you can see on the picture how in one in one location in Vietnam, grower producing the Catharanthus. And here you can see it's really on the outside. It really producing in outside condition under the open sunlight. As because it happens as because Catharanthus, it's really sun and heat tolerant crop, so it able to produce in the lowland in this type of condition. It's really fantastic. So in the Catharanthus, it's really fantastic crop for us because, and especially for most of the South Asia and South Asian regions, because we are suffering a lot from the heat, we're suffering a lot from the sun sometimes, and Catharanthus can be a sustainable crop in for that condition. And here you can see the optimal day temperature. It is really high if you compare with other crops. It looks really high because for most of the crop it advised to apply the temperature in the range 20-22, but for Catharanthus it really advised to apply 23 or 25 degrees centigrade of centigrade. So it's really heat lover, but to provide the normal plant shape, it is necessary to apply the day and night difference. Here you can see optimal night temperature, but not be afraid if your night temperature don't drop up to 80 or 20 degrees. Catharanthus really how to say it, heat lover crop, and so it can perform well even with a slightly less difference between day and night temperature. And of course, I talked about already about light intensity. Here you can see the really huge light intensity on the level 60 up to 80 kilolux or thousands lux. And it is honestly would be better if you provide even 9,000 90,000 lux or 100,000 lux. It's also okay for Catharanthus. And of course, you can see it is really the plant is really happy in the outside condition, in the production location in outside condition. So that's why Catharanthus it's can called really light lover. And let's go to understand how to protect our plants. Here I mentioned just only 3 diseases critical in ready stage is Telebiopsis, Rhizoctonia, and Phytophthora. And here I displayed active ingredients and concentration of active ingredients. I not display here the name of a chemical because in different location available different type of the chemical under the different commercial name, and in some location there are any restrictions came from the local regulations. So that's why I advise mostly to apply this name of the active ingredient as a reference. So you can find the name of the product in the internet if you will use the name of these active ingredients. And of course, don't forget about the phytotoxicity. If you would like to apply new chemical or new for your location or new for your plants or new in your practice, I advise to really check phytotoxicity. What means check phytotoxicity? Just collect few plants like 2-5 pots with a Catharanthus and apply the chemical initially on these particular 2 or 5 plants or maybe 10 plants, and wait maybe one night or one day and look at the reaction of the plant. If you not see any damages that came from the chemicals, you're able to apply on the huge area. Why is critical? If you apply the new chemical for you that you're not really familiar with that, you can damage quite huge quantity of the plants. So to avoid that and to check and to be confident in 100% about the absence of any kind of phytotoxicity, I advise to check in maybe 5 10 plus separate plants, and after you prove the good reaction of the plant, you're able to apply these new chemicals for the entire population or entire quantity of your plants. And not forget to rotate your chemicals after 3-5 applications or 3-4 applications. It is critically I strongly advise to apply another chemical. For instance, you start to protect from the, for instance, Phytophthora. You start with chemicals that contains azoxystrobin, and you're able to apply maybe 3-4 times. After 4th times, you have to switch on the any different chemicals with a not different chemicals, not different name of chemicals. You have to change it on the chemicals with the different active ingredients. For instance, we can take propamacarp, and next 3 application, you can use the propamacarp. If you finish 3rd or 4th application of propamacarp, you have to change it again on a difference. For instance, on a chemical which has mancozeb, mixture of mancozeb and mefenoxam, and you able to apply again 3-4 times with these type of chemicals, and then you can turn again to azoxystrobin. What it means, what I talking about, rotate active ingredient. And we are mostly talked most critical items and most maybe to say the valuable items for the Catharanthus. And one interesting question came sometime to myself, and I would like to answer this question here and to explain what kind of activity the people sometimes ask. What happened if the diseases already came to the plantation, came to the greenhouses or to growing location? May to say the strong advice to remove infected plants immediately, and especially if you found a Phytophthora. In the first slide, if you will check the presentation later on, in the first slides, you can find the picture of Phytophthora damage displayed on the picture. And if you see that kind of damage or any kind of fungal damage, I advise to remove the plant immediately, but not only infected plant. Here I displayed like with a blue cross infected plant, and I advise very strongly advise to remove surrounding plants. This will be correct application of the plant elimination. So because the surrounding plants already able to receive the spores from the infected plants. So honestly, it's not it will be not big damage if you lost 7 plants as displayed here. But if you keep the plants which already can be infected by the spores or by the conidiums from infected plants, you will let the fungal diseases to spread more and more. So this is also kind of barrier you able to apply to protect your plants from the fungal diseases. And let's go through the all stages of the Catharanthus production again. Here I would like to display entire table with the scheduling. And here you can find what kind of activity you can apply in every week. Here you can find the name of the stages, germination, we discussed it in a previous webinar for Catharanthus, seedling development, transplanting, plant development, and blooming stage. And here you can find later on any kind of conditions in any kind of also chemical application. I advise to use, for instance, if you see the stretching of the plant, I also advise to use a not only high level of the EC, because EC also can work as a PGR in a plant, and so that's why I advise to provide quite high level of EC. Here you can display, you can find EC level, sorry, you can find the C level, depends on the week. This is example, this is not straight advice, and the EC level depends on the light intensity, depends on the temperature. So if the higher temperature, and of course it depends on the stage. The young plants, young and small plants require a little less fertilizer than mature plants. And here you can see the substrate EC as a reference. So if you look at this row, you find EC level in the substrate on each stage. This EC level should be measured according to substrate saturated medium extract, and with this EC level, you can check how the plant receive the fertilizer. If the EC level within range mentioned here, it means the plant receives enough quantity of fertilizer. If you see the EC level drop down below the lower quantity, or increase over the higher level, you can adjust EC level in the water. And of course, other items are also mentioned in this table. I hope this table will help you a lot to understand what kind of activity and what kind of circumstances you must provide to receive a very nice plant, like mentioned in the right corner of this slide. I would like to finalize this presentation now. I would like to make it as short as possible, because I understand if you if you listen in the presentation too long, you start to boring. It's the same habit for me. So that's why I would like to finalize the presentation and not make it too long. And so if you have a question, please ask in Q&A field, and also you can contact directly to key account manager for Southeast Asia, Iqbal Amjad, and for South Asia, Gautam Sangle, or you can send your request for directly to by my email, or you can contact me with a WhatsApp or with a phone as well. So please not forget to visit our sites as well, www.syngenta-flowers.com. And I would like to say thank you for your attention, for your time, and for your patience to wait until the end of this presentation. And I would like to ask Renata. Renata, can you help me? Do we have some question that came last minute?
Yeah, no questions at this time. Of course, the recording of this session will send to all of you. If you have a question afterwards, you can also send an email afterwards as well. But no questions at this time. Ivan, good story.
Okay, thank you. I think we have to finalize the presentation. I wish you have a good season, and I wish you receive the success with your Catharanthus, and not only with your Catharanthus, of course. And I wish you the good profit from your very nice plant. So thank you very much again for your attention. I will be happy to spend this hour for your to make your time more interest, and I hope these advices will be helpful for you. So thank you very much.
Thank you all. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.